The Paiute people have been coming to Mukuntuweap since the beginning of time. We believe that we're connected to these lands in a powerful way. These lands are now called Zion, and Zion belongs to everyone. Zion has many gifts to give, but there's also a need for balance, and we have to be able to give back. It's important that people take the time to connect to this land and to connect in a personal way. As Paiute people, we have many stories that come from these lands, and each of us can make our own story here.
We're gonna look up sites on that heater.
Thanks, Connie. Have a good
Good luck,
day.
guys. Do a good job.
Thank you.
You spend enough time in a place and you start to care for it, and you spend enough time in a place and it becomes home, and that's Zion for me, is a place that feels like home.
Climbing's been a part of my life longer than anything other than my immediate family. I watched Cliffhanger when I was 14 and thought, I can do that. That started something, and it's progressed from there, and so it's more deeply ingrained in me than most things in life. Stick right then.
I think we all experience places like this in our own way. And like the layers of rock here, there's layers of stories about Zion and layers of things to learn here.
When I was 19 years old, my parents decided that they were going to take a trip to a national park, and it was going to be a family affair. Before we even landed, I was just enthralled right away. That experience really took a hold of me, and it stuck with me. And I saw people my age that were working there, and I said, what a cool thing to do. That was kind of the beginning of it all. I didn't care what job I had. I just wanted to be out there. When I tell people I work in Zion National Park, they often tell me, oh, that's awesome. And that just sounds like the most fun job ever. And I will say I do enjoy my job, but I find that I spend most of my time these days inside the office. Sitting in a chair all day is something that I was originally trying to avoid. But I think over the years, my perspective has changed. And I don't necessarily view the office job as I once did. I feel that the work that I'm doing is meaningful. I'm one of many that are putting in this contribution to not only help protect the park in the present and in the future, but also to help provide a quality experience.
A big part of my job and any wildlife biologist's job is to watch animals, because we won't be able to know anything about them unless we watch and learn. We do have a condor chick in the park. We've had other chicks in the past, but none of them have survived to where they have been able to fly for the first time. This is one of those examples that it gives me pure joy in my job, is to be able to see this progression. And we have to take these really momentous events such as this and really celebrate them. I've seen condors up close. I've gotten to hold them, and they're beautiful birds. People get a condor and they're like, God, it's ugly. And that breaks my heart when I hear that. I'm like, you have no idea. You watch them for one day, you'll love them. Working every day, monitoring these animals and actually seeing something successful happen out of it. We have to help people understand the importance of the place they are currently in and to make them care about it. It is really important for people to remember that we as humans are part of the ecosystems. I mean, we promote people to go to the outdoors, to appreciate the parks, to enjoy the parks, but at the same time, when there's too many in one place, they're hurting the parks, damaging the parks. I see the impact that people have on this place firsthand every day with my job. And how do we find that balance? I don't really think we have an answer to that quite yet.
東京はとっても大きな都市ですごくたくさんの人たちが働いています。すごくたくさんの人が住んでいるんだけれども、特に隣の人とつながろうっていうふうには。子供の頃は公園、外で遊ぶのが大好きですごく気分が解放されて、やっぱりまた外でなんか遊びたいなって思って行ったことのないところとかやったことのない経験、これからザイオンに行けるんですけどめちゃめちゃ楽しみにしてて、そこでの経験と自分がどんな気持ちになるのか、もう本当になんかスケールが違う。待ち遠しくて仕方がないです。
The mornings in Zion are one of my favorite things. But I've been milking cows since I was 5 years old. And to be out with the animals, that got me out of bed, and I didn't just get up and go to school. I had to get up early and do my chores. We moved here in 1962, and I got a job as a naturalist and worked for 14 summers in Zion Park. There's nothing in all the world like Zion in my estimation. And I think almost as impressive as the engineering and operation to build trails and make access to it that has been going on since the beginning of the park.
In a series of amazing switchbacks, the Zion-Mount Carmel Highway climbs out of Zion Canyon and goes through Mount Carmel Tunnel, a mile of solid rock.
The tunnel was completed on the 4th of July in 1930. It was one of the longest tunnels of its kind in the world at that time.
Entering Mount Carmel Tunnel, a magnificent engineering achievement of the National Park Service, cut through the solid rock, lighted by 6 windows, each with a view that literally slows you down.
One of the main purposes of the tunnel was to connect highways 89 and 91 so that more people could come and enjoy these places without so much travel. This opened up the park to a lot more people. It's more like Disneyland now than what it used to be. But before artists came in and surveyors came in, people just wouldn't believe a place like this existed.
One of the things about Zion that is so special is the color of these cliffs. The combinations of the white and the orange and the red of the sandstone. It's a painter's dream. It's almost like the park itself is a work of art. It's a painting. It has this perfect combinations of colors already here. Many of our early national parks owe their existence to the work of artists early on in the days of these early parks' history. Delabar wrote and painted, and it was a combination of that written word with the visual images to go along with it that inspired people to believe perhaps a place really did exist that they were describing that looks so otherworldly. Some people may be discouraged from coming to a park because it may be busy, but our national parks really are everybody's home. This is our backyard for everybody. It's important to think about the whole purpose of our national parks. Purpose is to conserve the scenery, the natural and historic objects, and the wildlife therein, and to provide for enjoyment of the same in such manner and by such means as will leave them unimpaired for the enjoyment of future generations. So that's a quote from the Organic Act of 1916, establishing the National Park Service. And so within those lines is the framework that these national parks are here for, what they're built upon, and that is preservation for public enjoyment. And there has to be a balance in there. We have to have people coming here. That's what they're here for. This is not just wilderness preserves in and of their own intrinsic value, but they're here for us to enjoy. And I think it's really important that people do come out here and find their own connections and their own perspective and realize just how special these places are and why they are protected.
Knock it up there, have the finger lock in the back of it, don't forget. A little higher. Come on, buddy.
Man, I do not, it just broke off. When you tie in with someone, there's an unspoken commitment to that person. And that commitment is, I'm here to save your life. It's fragile everywhere here. There needs to be a healthy respect, whether you're in the vertical terrain or whether you're in the horizontal.
Being a person who wants to return here and continue coming here for the rest of my life, I know that there's a lifetime of things to learn and experience here beyond just being a climber.
日本では見たことのない自然を見たいなと思って来ました。自分がどんな風な気持ちになるのかっていうのを、楽しみに来ました。広大っていう言葉では収まりきらないぐらいスケールが大きくて、色がすごく綺麗だし、地層がこう描く模様がなんか見たことがないぐらい綺麗。 パワフルな一面も持っているけれども、例えば触って別にもう例えばすくった時にそれが自分をこう傷つけるわけでもなくて、でなんかそういうことを考えると、自分はそういう水みたいな時によって強くもあったり優しくもあったり、誰かを助けてあげられる、そういう存在になりたいなっていうふうに思います。見て見て、すごいよね。めっちゃ綺麗。カレー。じゃあうまいココナッツ。あ、いい匂い。おいしい。おいしい。結構いける。なんかちゃんとしてた。3秒ルール。星も出てきたし。
Canyoneering is kind of like going into a history book. And it gives you a really neat and overarching view of the geology and the formation of the area. Each layer in Zion holds a different secret. And being able to interact with that in such an intimate space as a canyon gives you a completely different view of the canyon as this very personal and historic place. On road. Zion is the most impressive exposure of Navajo sandstone in the world, but water carved these canyons, and that process hasn't stopped. There's a power that moves through these canyons, and flash floods are a deadly reality. And for us, it's about understanding and respecting that process.
Going into canyons is kind of like going into the arteries of the earth. Where water flows, energy also flows. You're in these places where it's really narrow. It's easy to forget that it radiates until you come into a place where you can touch the wall. You can touch both of the walls. It's cool to be able to travel through that space and travel through that energy while being like the thing that moves through that place, being like water.
Water is very powerful. Water can take life, but it can also give life. Water has a significant piece in our culture because we're high desert people, and here in Zion National Park, just like any other places here in our traditional land, there just isn't a lot of water except for this river that runs through it. For us, the goodness of water is that it gives life. Everything is connected, everything has life. It just lives differently than we do. Our belief is everything that was created here, plants and animals, the rocks, had a life like us at one time, and that they could understand the Paiute language. That's why the language is so important for us to retain.
It's a bar, it's a wach. Quid it's to bar of bone, it's a Iso mai pikantam uro vante power paupi anisanin quid uro icha alpa piayaram. Uro paka vai swakar uro icha te vipar swakar.
Paiute people have this inherent responsibility to care for the land. We're tied to the land. Our culture is tied to the land. So if the land goes away and the land is mismanaged or misused, then our culture goes away.
Both of my parents taught me from when I was little that my ancestors connect me to this place. When I come here, I think of all of the stories my parents told me. And I want to make sure that my kids know where they come from. Zion helps me know who I am from my history and my people.
As parents, I think it's very important for us to convey our traditions to our children, and they always see that as a significant part of their life, that they're able to pass it on to their children. And we live on forever.
Zion is very special. It's not just the beauty of the walls or the sound of the river. It's something magical, something different, something unlike I feel in other places.
With all the people coming in, I think every one of them can find their own story in Zion.
This place is so precious, and it's our job to try to make sure that it's protected forever.
When you think about what you can do to be a steward of the national park, people often think really large scale, but it can be very, very simple things. Every little action, if replicated over many people, will have a really large impact worldwide.
日本とザイオンの自然の違いを感じるのと一緒に、ザイオンの自然の中からすごく厳しい自然の中でも成り立っているってところから感じて。
Whether you come to the park every day or whether you visit it once, let it take hold of you. Let it have some say on how you operate in the world.
I think that only when we personally connect with a place do we truly gain the power to protect it. That's the whole point, is to protect this place, not just for us here today, but for future generations forever.